What if one of the biggest threats to your kidneys isn't something dramatic at all? Not a sudden illness, not a medical emergency, not even something you can always feel. For millions of adults, kidney function declines quietly over years, while life goes on as normal. You wake up, go about your day, handle your responsibilities, and meanwhile your kidneys are working harder and harder behind the scenes. The difficult part is that kidney problems often don't announce themselves early. The warning signs can be subtle. Maybe your energy isn't what it used to be. Maybe you wake up more often during the night. Maybe routine blood work suddenly shows a number your doctor wants to monitor. Or maybe you've simply started wondering whether there's more you could be doing to support your health as you get older. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. Not miracle cures, not internet myths, not foods that supposedly repair kidneys overnight. Just practical, evidence-informed choices that may help support kidney health as part of an overall healthy lifestyle. Because when it comes to your kidneys, the small daily habits often matter more than the dramatic solutions people chase online. One of the biggest misconceptions is that kidney health is only about drinking water. Hydration matters, but your kidneys are affected by far more than that. They respond to blood pressure, blood sugar levels, inflammation, diet quality, body weight, sleep, physical activity, and the foods you consistently eat week after week. That's why some foods place extra demands on the kidneys, while others fit much more comfortably into a kidney-conscious eating pattern. Today we're focusing on 5 vegetables that are frequently recommended in kidney-friendly dietary approaches, because they provide valuable nutrients without delivering excessive amounts of compounds that many people with reduced kidney function are often advised to monitor. And the first one is probably not what you'd expect. Vegetable number 1, red cabbage. When most people think about healthy vegetables, red cabbage rarely tops the list. Yet it deserves far more attention than it gets. Walk through almost any grocery store and you'll find it sitting quietly next to regular cabbage. Affordable, available year-round, and surprisingly versatile. What makes red cabbage interesting is its nutritional profile. It's naturally lower in potassium than many vegetables that people commonly associate with healthy eating. Why does that matter? Because as kidney function declines, some people have a harder time regulating potassium levels. That doesn't mean potassium is bad. Potassium is an essential nutrient, but for certain individuals, especially those with more advanced kidney concerns, managing intake becomes important. Red cabbage also contains compounds called anthocyanins. These are the natural pigments responsible for its deep purple-red color. Researchers have spent years studying anthocyanins because of their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. And while no vegetable can stop kidney disease on its own, foods that support a lower inflammatory dietary pattern may play a helpful role in overall health. Another advantage is flexibility. Red cabbage works in salads. It works as a side dish. It can be added to wraps, bowls, soups, and countless other meals. But there's one preparation mistake many people make. They cook it for far too long. The longer vegetables are exposed to heat, the more sensitive plant compounds can be lost. If you've ever watched bright purple cabbage turn dull and grayish after extended cooking, you've seen this process happening in real time. Light steaming often preserves both color and texture much better than prolonged boiling. And honestly, texture matters, because the healthiest food in the world won't help much if you don't enjoy eating it. Now here's where things get even more interesting, because the next vegetable on our list is one that many people already have in their kitchen. Yet very few realize why it appears so often in kidney-conscious meal plans. And once you understand the reason, you'll probably start looking at it differently. Vegetable number 2, cauliflower. If red cabbage is the underrated vegetable on this list, cauliflower might be the most underestimated. For years, it was treated as little more than a side dish, something people pushed around on their plates before moving on to the foods they actually wanted to eat. But over the last decade, nutrition researchers have started paying much closer attention to it, and for good reason. Cauliflower has a rare combination of qualities that make it appealing for people trying to eat in a more kidney-conscious way. First, it's naturally versatile. It can replace higher-carb side dishes. It can be roasted, steamed, mashed, added to soups, even blended into recipes without dramatically changing the flavor. But its real value goes beyond convenience. Cauliflower contains compounds known as glucosinolates. These naturally occurring plant compounds have been studied for their role in helping the body manage oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress may sound like one of those scientific terms that doesn't affect daily life, but it plays a role in many age-related health concerns, including conditions that can affect kidney function over time. Think of oxidative stress like rust slowly forming on metal, not overnight, not all at once, but gradually, year after year. The body has systems designed to manage that process, and many vegetables provide compounds that help support those systems. Cauliflower is one of them. It also provides fiber, and that's more important than many people realize. Because when people think about kidney health, they usually focus only on the kidneys themselves. But researchers increasingly talk about something called the gut-kidney connection. The bacteria living in your digestive system influence far more than digestion. They affect inflammation, metabolism, and even the way certain waste products are processed in the body. A fiber-rich diet tends to support a healthier gut environment, and cauliflower is one simple way to add more fiber without making your meals complicated. But preparation matters a lot. One mistake people often make is turning healthy vegetables into nutritional afterthoughts. Take cauliflower. A plain roasted cauliflower dish can be a great addition to a meal, but once it's covered in heavy sauces, excessive salt, or highly processed toppings, the nutritional picture changes quickly. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. A vegetable doesn't need to be transformed into something completely different to be enjoyable. Sometimes simple really is better. Roasting is one of the easiest methods. A little olive oil, a few herbs, moderate heat, and enough time to develop flavor without turning it mushy. The result is often far more appealing than people expect. And that brings us to the next vegetable. This one surprises people almost every time, because most conversations focus on its flavor, its smell, or its role in cooking. But very few discuss what makes it interesting from a kidney health perspective. And there's one preparation trick that can dramatically change the amount of beneficial compounds you actually get from it. Once you hear it, you'll probably never prepare it the same way again. Vegetable number 3. Garlic. Garlic may be one of the most studied foods in the world, yet most people still think of it as nothing more than a flavor ingredient. Something you add to a recipe because it tastes good, something that makes food more interesting. But garlic is far more fascinating than that. For decades, researchers have examined the natural compounds inside garlic and how they interact with the body, and what they've found is surprisingly impressive. One reason garlic attracts so much attention is because of compounds that are released when it's chopped, crushed, or minced. These compounds have been studied for their relationship with inflammation, circulation, and cardiovascular health. Why does that matter for the kidneys? Because kidney health and cardiovascular health are deeply connected. Your kidneys depend on a massive network of blood vessels. Every single day, they filter enormous amounts of blood. Anything that supports healthy circulation indirectly supports the systems your kidneys rely on. That's one reason blood pressure management remains such an important part of protecting kidney function. And it's also why garlic continues to appear in discussions about healthy dietary patterns. But here's the part most people don't know. The way you prepare garlic can dramatically influence what you get from it. Imagine two people using exactly the same garlic. Same amount, same recipe, same meal, yet one person receives significantly more of its beneficial compounds. How? Timing. When garlic is crushed or chopped, a series of chemical reactions begins. Those reactions help form some of the compounds researchers are most interested in. But if garlic is exposed to high heat immediately, part of that process can be interrupted. That's why many food scientists recommend a simple trick. Chop or crush the garlic first. Then let it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking. That's it. No special equipment, no expensive supplements, just patience. A small adjustment that may help preserve more of the compounds naturally found in garlic. Another reason garlic is so practical is that it helps reduce dependence on salt. This is especially important because many people unknowingly consume far more sodium than they realize, and excessive sodium intake can create challenges for both blood pressure and kidney health. Garlic adds flavor without requiring extra salt. The same is true for herbs, spices, lemon juice, and other natural seasonings. Sometimes the biggest dietary improvements don't come from adding something new. They come from replacing something less helpful with something better. Now, it's important to stay realistic. Garlic is not medicine. It's not a treatment. It's not going to reverse kidney disease. No vegetable can do that. But when viewed as part of an overall healthy eating pattern, it can absolutely earn a place on the plate. And that's really the theme of this entire discussion. Small decisions, repeated consistently, over time. Because kidney health isn't built in a day. It's built through thousands of daily choices. Now let's move on to vegetable number 4. And this one might be the most practical of the entire list. It's colorful, easy to find, easy to prepare, naturally sweet. And unlike many healthy foods people force themselves to eat, most people genuinely enjoy it. The interesting part is that its biggest strength isn't what it contains. It's what it delivers without overloading your plate with things many kidney-conscious diets try to limit. Vegetable number 4, red bell peppers. If you've ever walked through a grocery store and wondered which vegetable gives you the most nutritional value for the least effort, red bell peppers deserve serious consideration. They're bright, crunchy, naturally sweet, and unlike many vegetables that require complicated preparation, they're ready to eat within seconds. Slice them, add them to a salad, eat them as a snack, or toss them into almost any meal. Simple. But what makes red bell peppers particularly interesting is their nutrient density. They deliver an impressive amount of vitamin C while remaining relatively low in calories. And vitamin C matters because it helps support the body's natural defense systems against oxidative stress. Remember that concept we discussed earlier? The gradual wear and tear that affects tissues throughout the body over time. Researchers continue to explore how antioxidant-rich dietary patterns may support healthy aging and overall organ function. No single food changes everything, but consistent habits matter, and red bell peppers fit surprisingly well into those habits. Another advantage is their versatility. Many people struggle to eat vegetables because they associate healthy eating with bland food. Red bell peppers challenge that idea. They add color, texture, sweetness, and freshness without requiring complicated recipes. They're also one of the easiest vegetables to keep in the refrigerator for several days, which may sound like a small detail, but convenience often determines whether healthy foods actually get eaten. The healthiest vegetable in the world provides no benefit if it sits untouched in the produce drawer. There's another reason researchers have become increasingly interested in vegetables, like red bell peppers. They contribute fiber, and fiber continues to be one of the most overlooked nutrients in modern diets. Most people simply don't get enough. Yet fiber influences digestion, blood sugar regulation, satiety, and gut health, all systems that interact with overall metabolic health. And metabolic health matters far beyond weight management. It affects blood vessels, inflammation, energy levels, and numerous processes that influence long-term wellness. One mistake people make, however, is assuming that all vegetable preparations are equal. They're not. For example, heavily processed vegetable products often look healthy on the label but contain added sodium, preservatives, or ingredients that change the nutritional profile significantly. Whole foods generally provide the greatest benefit: fresh, frozen, lightly prepared, as close to their natural form as possible. That doesn't mean every meal must be perfect. It simply means the closer you stay to real food, the easier it becomes to build healthy eating habits. And now we arrive at the final vegetable on today's list. This one tends to create more questions than any other. Some people love it. Others avoid it entirely. Many know it for one unusual reason. But very few understand why it continues to appear in conversations about kidney-conscious eating patterns. Vegetable number 5, asparagus. Let's talk about asparagus, because this vegetable has developed one of the strangest reputations in nutrition. Most people know it for one thing, the unusual smell it can create after you eat it. But that harmless side effect has distracted attention from what actually matters. Its nutritional profile. Asparagus provides fiber, folate, various antioxidants, and a range of plant compounds that researchers continue studying for their potential role in supporting overall health. What makes asparagus especially interesting is that it has been part of traditional diets for centuries, long before modern nutrition science existed. People valued it because it was available, flavorful, and easy to prepare. Today, science gives us a better understanding of why it remains popular among many health-conscious individuals. One area of interest involves its natural antioxidant content. Like many vegetables, asparagus contains compounds that help neutralize oxidative stress. Again, this doesn't mean it's a cure. It doesn't mean eating asparagus suddenly fixes health problems. But diets rich in vegetables consistently outperform diets low in vegetables when researchers examine long-term health outcomes. That's one of the most reliable findings in nutrition science. The pattern matters, not the miracle, the habit, not the shortcut. Another advantage is that asparagus pairs well with almost everything: fish, chicken, eggs, salads, soups, even simple side dishes, which increases the likelihood that people actually continue eating it. And sustainability matters. The best diet isn't the one that's theoretically perfect. It's the one you can maintain year after year. Now let's address something important. Whenever people hear about healthy foods, many assume more is always better. That's rarely true. Healthy eating isn't about extreme amounts of any single food. It's about variety, balance, consistency. Different vegetables provide different nutrients, which is why rotating foods often makes more sense than relying on one favorite item every day. A plate filled with multiple colors usually provides a wider range of beneficial compounds than a plate dominated by a single ingredient. And that brings us to something I promised earlier. Because knowing which vegetables to eat is helpful, but knowing how people accidentally cancel out those benefits is even more important. I see the same mistakes repeated again and again, mistakes that sound healthy, look healthy, and yet quietly work against the goals people are trying to achieve. In the final section, we're going to cover the 5 preparation mistakes that sabotage otherwise healthy eating habits. And one of them might already be happening in your kitchen every single day. The 5 mistakes that cancel out healthy eating. We've covered 5 vegetables: red cabbage, cauliflower, garlic, red bell peppers, asparagus. But here's the reality. Knowing what to eat is only half the equation. The other half is avoiding the habits that quietly erase many of the benefits. And these mistakes are far more common than most people realize. Mistake number 1. Assuming healthy means unlimited. This is probably the biggest nutrition mistake of all. People discover a food is healthy. Then they start eating enormous amounts of it, every day, without variation. But nutrition doesn't work that way. Different foods contain different nutrients, different compounds, different strengths and weaknesses. Balance almost always beats extremes. The healthiest eating patterns in the world aren't built around one superfood. They're built around variety, color, consistency, a wide range of vegetables, fruits, proteins, and healthy fats working together over time. No single food deserves all the responsibility for your health. Mistake number 2, turning everything into a smoothie. Now smoothies can absolutely have a place in a healthy diet, but many people assume blending automatically makes food healthier. Not necessarily. When foods become liquid, they're often consumed much faster, in much larger quantities, and with less awareness. A person who would never sit down and eat 5 servings of produce at once can easily drink them in 2 minutes. The result? Calories add up quickly, portions become harder to judge, and many commercial smoothies contain far more sugar than people expect. Whole foods naturally slow you down. They require chewing. They increase satisfaction, and they help create a stronger awareness of how much you're actually consuming. Mistake number 3, drowning healthy foods in salt. A vegetable starts out healthy, then comes the heavy sauce, the seasoning blend, the processed topping, the restaurant preparation, and suddenly the nutrition profile looks very different. Flavor matters. Nobody wants bland food, but there are countless ways to create flavor without relying entirely on sodium. Fresh herbs, garlic, lemon, pepper, vinegar, spices. Simple combinations can transform a meal without overwhelming it. Mistake number 4, ignoring hydration. This one surprises people. They spend enormous energy focusing on food, but pay almost no attention to hydration. Your body depends on water for virtually every major process: energy production, temperature regulation, digestion, circulation, cognitive performance. Even mild dehydration can affect how you feel. That's why hydration shouldn't be treated as an afterthought. It should be part of the overall strategy. Mistake number 5, looking for a shortcut instead of a pattern. This is the mistake that sits underneath all the others. People want one food, one supplement, one trick, one secret, something that solves everything. But health rarely works that way. The people who succeed long-term usually do something far less exciting. They build patterns. They repeat simple habits. They make small improvements. Then they keep going. Week after week, month after month, year after year. And eventually, those small decisions compound into results that look dramatic from the outside, but were actually built one ordinary day at a time. Final thoughts. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Your future health is not determined by a single lab result, not by one number, not by one meal, and not by one bad day. What matters most is the direction you're moving, the choices you repeat, the habits you reinforce, the conversations you're willing to have with your healthcare team, the foods you consistently put on your plate. Progress rarely happens overnight, but it happens, and often much faster than people expect once they start making informed decisions. So start simple. Choose one improvement, not 10. 1. Maybe it's adding another serving of vegetables each day. Maybe it's cooking at home more often. Maybe it's paying closer attention to hydration. Whatever it is, begin there. Because the healthiest people aren't usually the ones making perfect choices. They're the ones making better choices consistently. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. Which of these vegetables surprised you the most? And which one are you going to add to your meals this week? I'd love to hear your answer.